Okay, good morning. Glad to be here at Michigan International Speedway and appreciate all the hard work that all the folks here at the track have put in to prepare for us to be here, and we look forward to a great weekend. We're pleased to be joined now in the Media Center by Brian Vickers, and Brian drives the number 55 Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. And Brian certainly is no stranger to victory lane up here at Michigan. He's won here before. I was here when you won, and I know you'd like to win again, punch your ticket into the chase. And so I think that's a great storyline for us to look at here this weekend. Brian Vickers certainly has had your moments this season, shown some certainly some promise, and certainly a win here this weekend would get you into that chase mode. So just talk about that, talk about the racetrack, talk about how your season's been going so far, Brian.
Oh, thanks, Terry. So, yeah, it's good to be back in Michigan. Wow, this media center's nice. I don't think I've been to the new one. Obviously, it's been a few years since I've raced here in a Cup car, and this has always been one of my favorite racetracks. I've always loved coming here. I think it makes for great racing. There's nothing like seeing cars 2, 3, 4 wide in places they shouldn't be, especially at 200 miles an hour going into turn one. But it's been a good track for me historically, and I hope that it continues to be so even with the new pavement. This year has been it's been a good year for us. It's been a solid year. Pleased but not satisfied is kind of how I would describe it. We've had some really good runs. We've had some really fast cars. We unfortunately haven't been able to turn that into a win yet, but we've turned it into a lot of good runs, and until the last 2 weeks, fairly consistent. 2 weeks ago, we unfortunately had an engine failure that really hurt us in the points, and we had a good car at Dover as well. And last week we had a good car all weekend, and avoiding a wreck, I knocked the splitter up like a half an inch, and it just it was pretty tough in traffic after that. Really difficult to pass, and we just lost our track position, and you just couldn't recover from that. But other than that, I just couldn't be more proud of this Aaron's Dream Machine team. They really have done a great job. Billy and Chaggy and Steve and all the guys on the team have given me great cars. Everyone in MWR and Toyota have given me great cars. And it's probably one of the most enjoyable work environments I've ever been in my life. What Rob and Michael have done at MWR to create a culture that's hardworking but also enjoyable is pretty cool. And I think that really carries into the 55 team. And Billy is so calm and so stable. It's just great to work around him, and he's such a hard worker and so bright. So I couldn't be happier, really, with the whole situation, other than we don't have a win. That's kind of the only piece of the puzzle that we're missing. So hopefully we can capture that victory this weekend and then roll that into the chase.
Take questions for Brian. If you have one, raise your hand, and we'll get to you. We've got a couple wireless mics out there. Any questions for Brian Vickers? Right here, a man from Youngstown. Right there behind you.
Brian, sorry about that. It's pretty loud. You talked about needing that win. What gains have you seen since you've come there? You raced part-time last year and now being around full-time this year. What gains are you seeing just in your team on a weekly basis?
I think a lot of it is, the organization as a whole is trying to continually create more depth. We had a bit of a setback losing a third team, but we're kind of growing back in that direction. It's great to see Brett Moffitt on the track this weekend. He's done a great job at the testing. But, as far as the 55 team particularly, I think Aaron's coming on board full time this year really shows a huge commitment from them and as a partner and their confidence in the team. Billy, obviously, he's not new to the team, but he's new in his role, and that's a big role change. It really is. There's a lot of things that are the same, but there's a lot of things that are different when you have to call those final shots. But the communication within the team is phenomenal, and I think it's only getting better and better every single week. how we work together, how we communicate, how we progress through the weekend, how we progress through the week and at test, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really happy about that. I feel like we're on an upward trajectory, and that's a good sign. Do we want to? Obviously, we'd love to have 2 wins at this point, but the fact that we continually keep getting better, I really like that. And we've run pretty well so far this year, and I feel like there's still room to go. You know what I mean? I feel like there's still blue sky ahead. So,
Question all the way in the back along the right. Raise your hand there, Ryan. Let's get him a mic, please. All the way along on the right side.
Ryan McGee, ESPN. You mentioned, obviously didn't have the win, but you mentioned how much you like this place. Are there particular racetracks this summer as the pressure begins to build that you kind of have circled, like this is a place where we could do it, this is a place where I know I'm good?
I think to an extent, great. It's a good question. I think to an extent we have them all circled. Obviously, you feel like you're better at some places than others, not only as a driver but as a team and the whole combination. For whatever reason, Michigan has always been a good track for me. I've always liked it here. But there's also tracks that, and a lot of it depends on the team and kind of the emphasis within the organization on particular track sizes. Historically, short tracks have been hit or miss, but at NWR they've been like one of my best. There's no given in that category. The road racing is something I'm excited about. I'm really looking. I think the time I spent overseas road racing really helped me a lot. I'm really looking forward to Sonoma. It's kind of one I have circled, so to speak. Obviously here, but here is a little bit old and new for me, right? Like I like Michigan, but I haven't been in a Cup car on the new pavement, so there's a lot of unknowns still there. Pocono was another one that historically has been good for me, and we were excited about, and we still got another shot at that one. I think obviously Loudon. We had a really good car there last year. We won there last year, so I think you have to circle that one. But there's tracks. There's certainly tracks you kind of look forward to, and you think we have a good package for, and I like to race there, and the team has good cars there, etc. But we show up every weekend focused on that weekend. I really try to not only live my life that way, but race that way. If I'm going down the front stretch, my focus is turn 1. Like, that's it. And I think that's just kind of where I'm at right now, and I like that.
Let's go to the front row right here to Jim, right here on the front.
Let me get this.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. You've obviously been in a lot of road course races. You know how they have become in recent years. This year, there were a lot of times people would hire drivers specifically as road course ringers in hopes of getting a win. Well, this year, with the new chase format, if you're in the top 30 in points and you're running all the races, you get a win. Even if it's at Sonoma, you can pretty much get in the chase. Do you think that'll change the outlook for the 2 road course races for a lot of teams this season?
Yeah, it does. You still have to be in the top 30 in points, like you said. It's not like anyone can just fill a car and make the chase. But I think it does throw a dynamic into the chase format where you're going to have maybe 1 or 2 guys that you typically wouldn't see in the chase that are just really good at road courses, but not necessarily everywhere else. So, but we'll see. It's only time will tell. You look at history would tell us that there's not going to be 16 winners coming into the chase after 26 races, but history changes, right? There's always a first time for everything. So, our goal as a team is to stay as high in the points as we can and get a win. That's kind of our goal. Obviously, we'd love to have multiple wins. We'd love to whatever, but we're focused on both. I don't think you can just throw the points out the window. Even though everything that has been done to the points is to emphasize winning, the guy that would have won the championship last year never would have won a race. So I don't think you can throw points out the window yet.
Other questions? Chase has one right over here to the right.
Chase Wilhelm, PRN. Brian, just an off-the-wall question for you. You're heading to Sonoma next weekend, and tempers can easily flare out there on the road course, and tempers can also flare out there on the highway too with your personal car driving down the road. So talk about some of the things that kind of get you angry when you're driving your personal car on the highway.
I actually don't have a car right now, so yeah, a bicycle. Explain why. Does that make you nervous? I don't know. I just don't find I need one in Miami or New York. So it's just, I don't know. It's just easier that way. If I need a car, I just rent one. But but on the street, and I also don't particularly enjoy driving in traffic. So my lovely wife does that. She seems to she enjoys driving. So I let her handle that. So I just try to avoid the topic at all cost. As far as road rage, driving in traffic, there's nothing more painful, I think, for most of us, but especially a race car driver that's used to going as fast as he wants in the lane he wants and how he wants, than sitting in a traffic jam and being cut off by people, or having someone in the left lane riding at 45 miles an hour in a 70 mile an hour zone next to a tractor trailer. Like, there's just nothing more frustrating than that. You obviously would like to inform them of their transgressions by using the chrome bumper, but that is not legal on the road, so you restrain yourself from doing those things. But in general, like, it is obviously going back to the road racing. It's wild. Like, it's interesting. Like, it's the road racing, I think, is some of the best road racing in the world. There's a lot of great road racing out there. I mean, Le Mans going on this weekend. I had the opportunity to race there. That is an awesome event. But unquestionably, I think our cars put on a better show on a road race. I would love to see our sport expand. Everybody talks about adding more road races. I'm all for it. But let's don't add another Watkins Glen. I love Watkins Glen, but let's go somewhere else. Let's go international. Let's go to other continents. If we're going to add road racing, let's go to new markets, because I think NASCAR will put on the best road race that any road race we go to has ever seen, any racetrack that we've ever seen. So I love those tracks. I kind of always enjoyed them. I think the time I spent in sports cars made me like them even more. But as far as your question on street driving, I'm not a fan of it, especially traffic. Just try to avoid it altogether.
Got time maybe for one more? Anybody else for Brian? Right there, Kenny B in the middle, right behind the tripod.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Brian, I wanted to ask you about, obviously, Brad's situation last weekend with trash on the front of the car. When you're driving, if you didn't see the temp gauges, mm-hmm. would you realize when you had trash on the front, and how would it affect the handling of the car?
It depends on the track. Sometimes, high-speed racetracks, if it's a big piece of trash, the way the cars are today, the temp ranges are so tight, and we push everything to the limit. Even the smallest piece of trash that may or may not affect your handling can affect your temps. But if it's a big piece of trash that really blocks off the grill, you're going to notice it in the balance of the car. It's going to be like putting tape on for qualifying without tightening the car up. It's probably going to be loose. And eventually, as the temps climb, again, if you didn't see them, if you didn't have temp gauges, you would start to notice a difference in power right up until it blew up. It's always been frustrating. It's happened to everyone in this garage where you've had a really good car, you've been leading, you've been whatever, and you get a piece of trash on the grill, and you have to let someone by to get it off, or you have to, worst case, come in the pits, or even worst case, you blow up. But it's just part of it, right? It's part of the sport. Like, what are you going to do? Everybody has to deal with it. It's just one of those things in our sport I think a lot of other sports don't have to deal with. there's a lot of variables in our sport that are unknowns, that no matter how talented you are, no matter how good of a car you have, no matter how great of a race the crew chief calls and how fast of a car he builds, there are factors that just happen. You run over debris and you cut a tire, you get trash on your grill, things happen, that just don't happen. It's not like, I don't know if I've ever watched a football game where, the quarterback was getting ready to throw the ball and it goes flat. You know what I mean? Like I've just never seen that game. So, things happen. Teams get beat that you don't think should be beat in other sports, but it's because they just didn't play as well as they should have that day. It's not because of some unknown variable that we have to deal with in NASCAR.